Yo, yo, yo. What's up, fools? Devy Dose in the house. We're
In the
back. We
house,
got some
literally
in that
in the Zoom house.
in Kyle's new apartment in South Carolina. Our globe-trotting, America crossing friend has landed again. Does he have internet? We don't know. We don't know. Probably not.
Not
Probably
quite.
not.
Not quite.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, welcome back to the Devy Dose. We appreciate you. I'm Erik, your host at EK Baller. My man Kyle at KL_Larson
Fantasy.
here. He's
KL
live.
underscore fantasy. But we're getting there.
Whatever, man.
It's because I
Usually it's
didn't
on
write
the
it down for you.
screen.
I know. That's on me, I guess. Amateur
You're
hour.
screwing me up. So Kyle's on a phone, and there's like a 50% chance it just dies during the
It's
show.
plugged in, so hopefully the charge is faster than the depletion. But we'll see.
So we're really set up for success here tonight. I'm just setting the expectations low. We're probably going to
It feels
underperform. We are underprepared.
it
It's
feels
not going to
so
be
good
great.
to be back, Erik. You know, it felt so good to watch that in. We're
Yes,
so
it is a
back.
good intro, man. It gets me excited with the branding in place. We're doing big things here. So, look, guys, we wanted to hop on, talk some draft stuff. We've been absent since the draft, and obviously things have shifted. Most of you guys probably come to us for more college football content, draft, pre-draft content. But we wanted to get our two-piece in about the draft, where it is, let you guys know what we're doing in our dynasty drafts, what moves we're trying to make post the NFL draft. So, it's be a quick hitter. We're just going to talk some stuff through. We'll do a quick little rookie mock with just Kyle and me, and kind of like lay out what we're doing. So if you're in our leagues, then screw you. You're just gonna snipe all my players, but that's okay. That's what we're here for. So I would ask Kyle what his quick hitting draft reactions are, except he's not sitting there. There you go. He's
Yes, I
back.
am.
So Kyle, what was your quick hit draft reactions? What surprised you? What was shocking? What was interesting? What's worth talking about that hasn't already been talked to death by everyone else?
Oh, well, it has been talked to death, but I want to talk about
Yeah.
it too, and that's what the freak are the Atlanta Falcons doing?
Yeah.
Sign Kirk Cousins to a $100 million deal, yeah, and then draft Michael Penix Jr. at 8, a
Yeah.
guy who's going to be 26 years old in 2 years,
Yeah. I don't
28
care
years
about
old
the
if
age,
Cousins
but
plays the whole 4.
it's just a misuse of resources. People are like 26, and I'm like, I don't really give a shit if he's good and he's 26. Fine. Like, I don't really care in Dynasty, except it just seems like an egregious waste. Like, you might as well just trade that 24 first for a 26 first right now. You know what I mean? That's the value loss that you're getting by taking Penix in the first round. He's not going in the first round though. Where have you done a couple already? Where are you seeing him go?
203, 204,
Yeah,
and a 12 team.
yeah.
I
I
mean,
just took in one Lad at 201. Coleman went after, and then Penix went right after him. So that sounds about right to me. Uh, yeah. So stupidity. That GM's got to get fired, right? I mean, is he in his second season there, or is he new?
um, I think it's been a couple. I want to say
Yeah,
he's
he's
the one
been
who
there, right?
drafted Pitts.
Yeah, right. So he's the one that hired Arthur Smith, or was hired at the same time as Arthur Smith.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think he's long for this world. That was pretty poor. Unless I don't know, man. If they have like a 10 or 11 win season, it's gonna be tough to fire on him. But we'll see. He could definitely be a team on the rise. But
I mean, if
I
they
don't know.
do, it's all because of the coach and Cousins.
Correct.
Like,
Which also
he
decisions
did
that
do
he.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
But
yeah.
imagine if they had a 10-win season, they could probably have another 11 or 12-win season with somebody else they could have picked at the 8.
Yeah. I mean, Rome was gone, right? Or no, it's one pick before him. So yeah, Rome
Yeah.
could have been there. I mean, dude, that would have been Cousins throwing for 4,500 yards. If he's throwing to Rome, London, and Pitts and Bijan, I mean,
Or you had your pick of any edge rusher.
any edge rusher.
Like, yeah. I don't know.
2.
Doesn't make much sense.
Yeah,
I
and their
also
defense,
think
they had.
I think moving on. Other than that, I was super surprised. Bo Nix went 12 as well. When we're talking about quarterbacks, it definitely seems like the days of the day 2 quarterback are done, and people are going to reach on this position until they get it right. And
But it's you say that, but it's really just 2 shitty GMs that made bad decisions, right? Or like,
I mean, it sounds like everybody else was going to pick him. Like it
I don't
seems like the
know.
Raiders really wanted Penix at 13.
I buy Penix as a first round pick. I thought he was an early second because of the injury history, mostly, right? And just the lack of mobility. Somehow he earned himself money by running fast in a straight line, which has not that much to do with QB scrambling, really. But Bo Nix was that was a shocker. I just didn't see it. I have
But
a couple
according to Sean
shares.
Payton, if you take away Bo Nix's bad throws and the throws behind the line of scrimmage, then he has the best completion percentage down the field.
He did set a completion percentage. Well, right downfield, right? Yeah, he set a completion percentage record last year, but that's not that's you throwing 2-yard passes, you know. So yeah, I don't know. The Bo Nix was a little bit of a shocker, and his position in rookie drafts kind of. I've seen him go in the first. Have you seen him go in the first?
Yeah, I benefited. Somebody took him 108, and I got Xavier Worthy at the 110. So
Where are you comfortable taking him?
after Worthy and Bowers, so 110.
Yeah, that's still rich for my taste, man. I don't know.
I mean, it's like him, Ladd, or Brian Thomas
I'm
Jr. at that
taking
point.
Ladd ahead of him. I'm taking Worthy ahead of him. And I like Brian Thomas more than you. I'm taking Brian Thomas ahead of him.
But he's starting. Like, I don't know. I mean,
I
I'm
don't
willing
know,
to accept
man.
the
I mean,
fact
I
that
guess
I could very much be wrong about quarterback evaluation. So if somebody's going to draft somebody that high and start them year 1, I'll take a shot.
I don't know, man. I like Kenny Pickett was a starter. That was a value loss, even if you took him with a late first. Will Levis, jury's out, but I don't see him making a
You didn't
dramatic
have to take
improvement.
Levis that early.
He was late first.
Zach Wilson was in that range, but
I don't know. I think I get it. I get the positional value thing. I get that you have a runway to get off of the asset, but if I'm like pretty sure a quarterback's bad, I'm going to shy away from them. I just think I think those wide receivers have some upside and are not going to bust. And I don't want to bust with my first round picks in my early seconds. What's the hit rate on any first round quarterback, Kyle? 50%?
yeah, but if they hit, they're worth a lot more than the.
I know, but then what's the hit rate on a first round quarterback with an otherwise dog crap profile?
How many of those are there really? Because we're
Well,
gonna
that's the
have to
thing.
have a whole conversation about that.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about
that.
quarterbacks. The sample sizes are also small, but like, I don't know. It feels like stay away from me. So I'll let someone else make those mistakes. That's kind of how I'm approaching a lot of the drafts this year, to be honest. Not to segue into that too much, but I guess the other thing that we both were shocked at, that us and anyone else that's ever looked at a spreadsheet or watched college football box scores last year, is that Franklin fell to day 3. I did not see that happening. I didn't think he was a first round pick ever, but I thought he was like solidly a second round pick. Just based on upside and athleticism. I guess some teams were down on, because his 10-yard split was really slow, I heard, and then just a lot of teams didn't like his film.
And I mean, I don't necessarily hate all the picks like who did get picked before him, but I mean, like Jalen McMillan and Luke McCaffrey.
Yeah, that's
for what
right.
we thought Troy Franklin was. That's definitely a surprise.
Like, we knew Mitchell was going. We knew Coleman was going. I thought Franklin was going to go in that range, early second. Mitchell, obviously I that doesn't surprise me. I think Mitchell's got some upside, but yeah, it was the McCaffrey and McMillan that really threw me for a loop there. McCaffrey going day 2 at all was I thought he would go like day 3 just with some upside, but I was shocked. But there's a family relation there.
I wasn't that stunned. I mean, the drumbeat started to build itself around the Senior Bowl, and it was kind of quiet, but it was there for most of the process. So I don't know. I think he has some upside. Not sure if Washington is necessarily the place to show it. He's very similar to Jahan Dotson, in my opinion, so not quite sure how that'll shake out.
So they're pretty different, man. Dotson's a lot more agile. Dotson's a better route runner. McCaffrey's bigger. I mean, McCaffrey's not like a 5'10" wide receiver. He's like 6'2", 200-ish, 6'1", 200-ish. Pretty prototypical size.
That's true. I don't know. I
tackle breaker.
I think it's a tough fit, and I'm not a big Jaden Daniels believer, so we'll see how many wide receivers can succeed with him playing quarterback. So I don't know.
Yeah. That's a thing I think that, we'll talk about shortly. So I don't know, anything else you want to fire up a draft and kind of talk through our other, I feel like that's a good vehicle to talk through the rest of our thoughts on this.
Yeah, I mean, not a ton of other real surprises. I mean, Leggett in the first round surprising, but we all kind of knew Carolina wanted him there.
Yeah. That was that rumor was strong.
And Pearsall going pick 31 to the 49ers.
Surprise too, yeah. I mean, I thought he was a late round 2 guy, but do you trust Lynch? Like, I kind of trust San Francisco drafting wide receivers. They haven't really missed lately. Running backs, they're terrible at drafting, but
yeah. I mean, what? But like Debo was like 6 years ago now, and Ayuk is like 4 or 5.
Yeah, 4, I think. Yeah, I don't know. It's all been Lynch though, right? It's the same staff that's been there, so I think they've done a pretty good job identifying talent and deploying talent. I like Pearsall anyways, so I don't know. I'm definitely I've always been kind of down first, but obviously I watch a lot of film too. I'll make assessments based on both. And then I rely on, I know there's some people that are more experienced and smarter than me. So when what they're saying makes sense, can sway my opinions. But this year, there's just, and I posted this on Twitter yesterday, the starkness of the divide with the draft capital and film and vibes as opposed to data is deeper than I can remember, really. I mean, I don't know. I mean, all those second round receivers in the second round of rookie drafts, you got to really make some excuses for them about their data profiles. So I think a lot of that's an exercise in what stories or what deficiencies I can be comfortable with. Are you comfortable with Keon Coleman's never having more than 800 yards, having a lower than 2.0 receiving yards per team pass attempt? Are you comfortable with Xavier Leggett having one great year of production? Are you comfortable with Ricky Pearsall, right? Not having a terrible data profile, but not having a great one, but then getting round one capital. I don't know. How are you kind of working through that yourself? Because I feel like our approaches are pretty similar generally.
I mean, you and I sort of talked about this. There's a range of picks that I don't really like. Basically go 6 or 207. That's kind of where the ADP becomes Penix, Coleman, Pearsall, A.D. Mitchell, and Jalen Polk at the end of that. I just kind of don't want to pick there because I feel like I'm reaching on the guys that I actually want, and I feel like
also Lloyd's on the board there usually. Corum,
Yeah.
but I'm not taking Corum. I think, are you taking Corum in the second?
No. You
Yeah,
can
I'm
sometimes get
dodging him.
Benson there, which I would take. I would take Benson
Benson,
there.
I was going to say, yeah, Benson's usually early second. Lloyd's been trending like around the 2-3 turn in my drafts. I've seen him go mid second, but Benson's, yeah, usually like, honestly, I the one I just picked today at the 202, someone traded in front of me and took Ladd, and then I traded that guy. Move I gave him my 301 and my 202 for his 201 and 307, and I gave him my fifth to take Ladd, and he took Coleman. And I was pleased with that because you're right. Like after that, I don't want any of those guys that badly. I would have taken Benson, was my point of the story, over Coleman. I need running backs in that league too, so there's a little bit of a team need, but he's in that tier to me. I don't know. I mean, those guys are all like very risky profiles to me.
Yeah. And I think there's some definite tier breaks here, and we'll talk about that as we go through this draft. So if you want to start us off, be
All right, I'll
and
start off. I am the 101 in nearly any occasion. I'm taking Caleb Williams. Had him as my 101 prior to this, and then after Rome landing there, just everything that staff is telling us is that they want to set this kid up for success, which is great, man. The difference you see teams get when they do that with these rookie quarterbacks as opposed to when they don't is just night and day. I mean, there was a big conversation a few years ago about, almost nature versus nurture with the rookie quarterback and how much the surrounding of talent help. And I was pretty convinced at that point that really like all quarterbacks are like system quarterbacks to some degree. Very few of them are Tom Brady, and they're going to survive throwing to XFL players. Like they're just not. So the staff setting this kid up for success, pairing him with Rome Odunze, who I think is a baller for the next 12 years of their careers or whatever, has me taking Williams nearly always. I will say the last one I did, I had 102. Somebody and I was set at quarterback, and someone took Harrison in front of me. I tried to trade out. I ultimately took Caleb. That one I punted year one, and I'm not really worried about winning this year. So I'm okay sitting the quarterback value on my bench, although I usually don't like to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think Caleb is a knock out of the park. I don't think we need to overthink this at all.
Yeah.
And in a similar vein, I think the 102 is Marvin Harrison Jr., and we don't really have to think about that much either. I mean, we've talked about him for a few years now, about him being just, a fantastic wide receiver prospect. He lands in Arizona with Kyler Murray. No really big target competition there. I think he's in for a great rookie season and a great rest of his career as well.
Yeah, no, I love it. And I'm disappointed. I thought at this point I would have 2 shares of Marvin Harrison, and I have 0. Two more shares of Caleb, but I'm displeased so far about that. I thought I was going to wind up with a ton of Harrison, and it might be very Caleb heavy, light on Harrison, but it is what it is. So look, 103 is a pick I don't want in a lot of ways. But
really,
it's Daniels by ADP. I just drafted the guy that was trying to trade up to 102 to get Caleb. That you and I were talking, it was throwing me some pretty good offers. They weren't crazy. They were like fair, but I didn't really see any value gain to me. Right?
They were fair. But they were old, really. That's what they were.
Right. Yeah, he was. Yeah, right. And a young roster, I'm not, in a hurry to compete. But the point is, he wanted to trade up for Daniels. He had Daniels ranked over Caleb. He was going to take Caleb, try to flip him down, trade back, and he's a smart guy. He's a fantasy football analyst. He's smart. Look, I get it. I get the rushing upside. I get that there's like a 30% chance, 35% chance that Jaden Daniels is going to be like a top 4 fantasy football quarterback. Like it can happen. I also think there's like a 50% chance that he's Justin Fields in all the good and the bad ways. and he's not starting in a couple of years. Do you hear a tapping sound?
Come on.
Sleeper.
You play.
That was Sleeper. That was Draft.
Fuck you, Sleeper. Don't tell me what to do. So look, I'm trying to trade out if I have 103. That's my point. I don't know if I. What do you do?
I have had a lot of 103s, surprisingly, in the first few drafts I've done, and I've taken neighbors with no hesitation.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take neighbors here. Honestly, I do. You saying that makes me feel a little bit better about it. But that's what I'm going to do. If like I have a team, I have no needs. I don't know. I just feel like he's safer. He's a safer pick, and he's a baller. He's going to be a top 12 wide receiver. Whereas like Daniels, yeah, he could. I do think I'm less pessimistic than you, but I am pessimistic. And it's just it's taking the sacks, it's the scramble rate, it's the size. It's just I don't know, man. Like he's got a pretty good arm, but late breakouts scare me. Guys that rush, leave the pocket too early scare me. Guys that take too many sacks scare me. So I'm scared. I'm scared to draft Jaden Daniels. So all right. What are you doing at 104?
Well, since I convinced you to not take Jaden Daniels, we have a predicament, don't we? Real quick, I haven't been a big neighbors guy throughout the Devy process, throughout the last 3 years. We've talked about on the show a couple times, but he's the guy so far in Dynasty that I have the most shares of in rookie drafts right now because I've had 3 and 4, and he just keeps falling in my lap, and I'm not mad about it. So, change my tune now that he's on all my rosters. But
yeah, he's good, man. I'm not worried for him at all.
I will say I think I have done this with a 104, and I'm going to do it again in this mock. I'm going to take Rome Odunze. I mean, I just don't like Daniels.
We're just playing chicken with Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, exactly. I'd rather have Rome than May or McCarthy, as much as I like both of those quarterbacks. I think Rome Odunze is another, kind of smash wide receiver prospect. And I think right now already he's like the wide receiver 13 in value according to Keep Trade Cut. So
yeah, I love Rome. The thing about Rome is you got to be prepared. He's going to start slow. Keenan Allen at this moment is just still a better professional wide receiver than Rome. Rome's got more talent and juice because he's younger, but just Keenan Allen is a consummate pro, right? And DJ Moore is a pro's pro. They're just good wide receivers. So I don't expect Rome to peel off a massive target share at the beginning of the season. I at this point, I'm going to take Jaden Daniels, but I'm taking him because he's the value proposition here. I'm going to be able to sell him. And the one thing that I'll say, and this was a lesson from Fields, is you could sell Fields for what you paid for him. Like really, or like at least like a mid first last year, even like beginning of the season, middle of the season. It was until he took him losing his job to make it. So people are still trading for him like early second, mid second. Like he has some real value. So I think there's some value insulation of Daniels. I'm not that horrified by him, and the upside's there. So
I think Fields is a much better rusher than Daniels, though. I don't see that upside. I don't know.
I mean, he's bigger. Daniels is fast though, but yeah.
I don't know. That's kind of my issue. I just think Fields is the more dynamic player, and I mean, I'm still one of those people who's willing to acquire him right now, and just hope that he gets back on the field. Because the thing about Fields is when he was on the field, he did score points, no matter how bad
he scored points for fantasy
team,
football.
Actually.
Just
So
has like a 1-to-1 touchdown interception ratio.
Yeah. I'm not sold on Daniels being the same type of rusher though, so that's kind of why I'm pushing him down. I mean, if you hadn't picked him, I wouldn't pick him even here. So I mean, I think I still prefer Drake May over Jaden Daniels, and I think JJ McCarthy and Jaden Daniels is closer than most people think. But I will stick with my guns. I will stick with my QB2 in the class, and that's Drake May here in the smock. McCarthy is definitely an interesting proposition here. I mean, he's definitely going to have the better weapons year one, be in a better situation, but I don't know. I have faith in Gerard Mayo and what the Patriots are building, and I think if May struggles, I think it'll be obvious that it's kind of the wide receiver's fault, and they'll fix that in next year's draft. So I don't have a ton of concerns about May, and I really like him as a prospect, so I'm willing to take him here.
Yeah, I think the concerns with May are overwrought as well. I mean, I get like he's got legitimate technical problems right now. The feet are a mess. I've seen countless people that are smarter at analyzing QB position show, clips and highlights of just him doing that and spraying the ball. But I just QB is the one position, and this is funny because people said data models suck at quarterback, but like I don't know. My first swing at like a QB model was pretty fucking good. It was like pretty predictive of draft capital at least. And May's been good in it. I'm like that's as good of a basis to go on as I have. Does he figure it out? We'll see, right? But the talent's there, the juice is there, and like we said with Chicago, New England is attempting to surround him with weapons. I'm not personally in love with Polk as the guy to do it with, but I also think he's solid. I just don't think he's a wide receiver 1. I think he's an NFL wide receiver 2, right? I think they have now 2 wide receiver 2s and a wide receiver 3. Hopefully they add a proper X next season. So here, look.
And I mean, I don't think they're not trying to. I mean, they've been rumored for Ayuk. They've been rumored for Higgins. Like, I just don't think they had the opportunity to in this draft. Like, the guys who were available when Polk got drafted weren't all that special either. So, I don't know. I think they'll figure it out before next year for sure.
Yeah. All right. So here, this is one that I'm like, this is a tier for me. Really, like May, McCarthy, Bowers are a tier for me. I think kind of Odunze is in that tier for me too. I'm going to take Odunze in many instances where I'm neutral, but I'm totally cool if I need a quarterback, taking a quarterback over Odunze, just to be clear. Bowers too. Like I'm okay going with my positional needs here because it's the same tier to me. I'll take Brock Bowers here. I don't care about the landing spot. I mean, obviously, it's not what you would have picked, him landing somewhere with another good tight end prospect, but I think the selection tells us a lot about what they think about Meyer, and it's not great. I think Meyer is going to be blocking, secondary weapon, and I think Brock Bowers is going to be, a primary weapon for them. Whether they split him out or whatever, he's going to soak up targets.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I'm hoping at least that they view Bowers as kind of like a receiving weapon more than a tight end. I mean, because if you look at it that way, I mean, it was like Bowers or like Worthy or Thomas, and I mean, I think Bowers might just be better at catching the football than both those guys, regardless of position. So
I agree with you. He was the best he was the best receiver on the board at that point, honestly. So yeah, I'm cool with it. You taking McCarthy here?
Yeah. I mean, I mentioned it when we talked about May, but give me the quarterback who's tied to Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, and I don't think it's going to be too difficult for him to succeed.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a lot of elements in his profile when you got into the like secondary metrics and efficiency stuff that looked really good, like as good as anyone in this class. Just the raw numbers were really down. I didn't have the volume, but that's a function of the team. So I'm gonna probably be pretty consensus-y here, but Xavier Worthy was already in this tier for me and definitely got pushed up with draft capital and landing spot. He's tied to Mahomes for his rookie contract at minimum with Andy Reid, who is still one of the genius offensive minds and just knows how to make these guys work. And I think he wants to replicate Tyreek Hill's success. Not the same player, but Worthy can do some of those things. He doesn't have the scrappiness at the catch point that Tyreek does, but they're going to get him open. They're going to get him looks. He's going to be a weapon.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Worthy was my teetering wide receiver 4/5 before the draft, and he's cemented himself as wide receiver 4 now, and this is definitely like the tier break. This is 110 is not the pick I want to have. I've made a lot of offers to turn my 110s into 109s and have been mostly rejected. So I think everybody kind of feels that way, and I think you're not going to get very lucky unless somebody reaches for Bo Nix or something. But I think at this point, I'm not a big Brian Thomas Jr. guy. I mean, I think he has some skills that are going to make him, good for NFL teams. I don't think he ever really turns into like a target hog, true fantasy explosive wide receiver in that way, even if he's making big plays for the Jaguars. But I think one guy who, could be in line immediately for 140, 150 targets if they end up throwing the ball is Lad McConkey, and he's getting those targets from Justin Herbert. So I'm not worried about him being tied to Herbert. I mean, especially when his target competition is Quentin Johnston and Josh Palmer.
Yeah, he's going to get targeted, man. He's definitely the best receiver on that team. Obviously, we start talking about guys with flawed data profiles now, and I don't know, never produced more than, what was it, like 760 yards? Why wasn't he on the field more? I can kind of just say, it's Georgia for a lot of it, but I don't love that. Like, you don't want to be
He's
making
also hurt
excuses.
last year.
True, sure, yeah. So, anyways, I also like Ladd. I, however, do like Brian Thomas, and I do like Jonathan Brooks. To me, this is a tier. Worthy's the top of it, or maybe a tier by himself, and then these three guys are the rest of the tier for me. Depending on team needs, I'm fine taking, Ladd and Brian Thomas. I'm going to try to mix up my shares. I want to have about the same ownership, rostership of those guys. And if I need a running back, I'm comfortable taking Brooks here. In a vacuum, I'm probably going to take a wide receiver that I like a lot over a running back I like a lot, because I think that's the way to build the dynasty team. And also, I think I can get some good running backs in the second round. So what's your play here? Are you taking Bo Nix or Brooks?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on the tier discussion. I think, it stops at McCarthy, and then Worthy is kind of his own pick, and then those two wide receivers, Jonathan Brooks, and I think Bo Nix is in this tier as well. So I'd probably make this decision based on how I feel about my team and what I kind of need between whether I pick Nix or Brooks. If I'm competing, I want that running back, and since this is the 112, I'll assume I just won the league, and I'll take Jonathan Brooks. Somebody who we might have to wait on to produce. Probably not going to be exceptional early in the season, but I mean the first running back drafted pretty early, and the only doubts I had concerning his profile were to do with his injury. So
Yeah. So, and then I don't love Nix. I can start justifying taking him in the second round. God, yeah, this is like what Kyle and I were talking about. I hate this part of the draft here, really. Kind of like Pearsall. Feel like it's too early to take Benson. Penix is my favorite player here, but you're not going to sit him. You're going to sit him for 2 years. So I can't bring myself to take Nix. I'm going to take Benson here. So that's what I'm doing. I haven't had to do this yet, though. Every time I've been drafting in this spot, I've gotten someone I like better. Someone took Nix ahead of me. I got McConkey, so yeah, I haven't really had to stare down this decision, but I'm going to take Trey Benson.
well, then I'll take Bo Nix. I don't want to completely gloss over Benson. I do like Benson. I think that's a great landing spot for him to take over for Connor eventually. Kind of a similar skill set to Connor, and Connor's been super productive, so I like Benson here as well. But I mean, the Broncos have been pretty loud about how much they like Nix the entire time. So I don't know. It seems pretty obvious to me that he's going to start year one. I don't think his wide receiver room is necessarily like bad. I mean, it's like Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims, and Troy Franklin. I mean, those are three guys that I like, and as much as I kind of think Sean Payton's an a-hole, I mean, he's had some success coaching quarterbacks in the past, so hope that
Yeah.
extends to Bo Nix.
Yeah, and I mean, they definitely worked a lot of quick passing game with Drew Brees, a lot of short and intermediate, but Drew Brees had a deep ball that Bo Nix just does not have in his arsenal at all. That's my problem with Bo. To not have good deep accuracy. And if you really can't strike deep, they're just gonna teams are just gonna strangle you, right? I mean, if your whole offense is built around short passing game, I don't know. It's tough to sustain that. I mean, the Patriots did that, but then Brady always had the deep ball too, and that was it. It was like 1,000 cuts and then a bomb, as long as you had a receiver. So look, I'm taking Penix here. Again, I feel like you're putting this pick in the bank, but when I'm putting oh, so weird. It has it set to reverse. Whatever. You're putting 203 in the bank, and it's coming back as a 2026 first. I'm fine with that. I like Penix. The Falcons have good weapons there, although is London going to be on the roster by the time he's starting? I don't know. Do they resign? I mean, do they have to be resigned him? They would have to have re-signed Pitts, right? And it would be like the end of B. John's rookie contract at that point. So as much as I like to think Penix is going to have good weapons, who knows? It's going to be different coaches unless they're very successful, probably a different general manager. God, I mean, this could go wrong in all kinds of different ways. But I prefer him as a player to Nix far and above. He's got his deficiencies, but generally gets the ball where it has to go. Love what he does, avoiding sacks, avoiding pressure. Michael Penix.
Well, this is exactly where I said I didn't want to draft, and now I have to draft. Gosh, I want to reach here, but I feel wrong leaving the round one wide receiver on the board, so I'll take Ricky Pearsall at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought he was like an upside guy going into the draft.
Yeah. We thought he was a sleeper.
Pick 31.
Yeah.
I don't
He's
know.
one of those guys me and you were on in October last year. Oh yeah, he's good. Might get drafted.
It's like maybe a late day 2 pick, and then you can carve out a long career as a slot wide receiver, and now the expectations are a little higher than just being an NFL starter. So I don't know if he's has true superstar potential, but at this point, if they're spending a first round capital on him, I don't think the bust potential is very high either.
Yeah. So I think the rest of this round, and to me, Pearsall is what I've done, but I'm staring down this. I've never had to take Pearsall before Keon Coleman. Coleman's always been gone by the time I get to that pick. Benson's usually on the board, or Benson's just gone. But Pearsall, I think, is the top of that tier, or again, mini tier by himself, like Penix Pearsall, right? To me, the rest of this is all flat. I'll take literally anything I could get for trading back anywhere between 2-5. Sorry, we're reversed here, and really the end of the round. And I think the best player, the best wide receiver on the board here might be Jermaine Burton. Really, all said and done. I mean, he's got the least flawed profile of the guys that are out here at this point. But look, I can tell myself a story that Keon Coleman's going to be good, and he's got draft capital, and he's going to get targets. I can tell myself a story about Adonai Mitchell as well. Mitchell had some decent points in his profile, and Matt Harmon really I love Matt. I love what he does, his charting and making it public available to everybody. He really liked Adonai Mitchell's route running, and we know Mitchell's good at the catch point. So where's the flaw in Mitchell's game? I think he's good. I think Mitchell's going to work out. I kind of think Coleman's going to work out. I just don't think he's an NFL wide receiver 1. I think he's a wide receiver 2. But maybe he could be a good wide receiver 2. He's trying to get volume this year. If he gets volume, does he hold his value as a mid-second? He could. So it's kind of where I'm at. Like I could talk myself into literally any of these guys. I'm doing everything I can to extract value from this. I like Lloyd, Polk. I can talk myself into. I think I'm going to take Keon, but it's as much just because I think he is the most valuable player on the board as it is that I actually like the profile.
Yeah, we've gotten to the point where I kind of just want to stick with my guns and believe what I was believing before the draft.
You're going to take Franklin here? Go for it.
Yeah. I want Franklin.
I'm not.
I do think this is probably like 2, 3, 4 picks early than ADP, but this is a point where I feel comfortable missing on the guys who are higher than on ADP than Franklin.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to kick myself if Franklin works out. And I felt so good about him pre-draft, and I let, just draft capital change my mind. So
it's not just draft capital, though. A lot of film scouts were down on him through the whole process. And it was catch point. It was not having a full route tree, right? It was drops. But he does a lot of good stuff, too. He has some nice routes. It's just not the full complement. And somehow he produced despite drops, despite catch points. So I'm not out on Franklin. I am trying to get deals on him where I can. So I have acquired another share in the 3 drafts I've done. I got Franklin once, and I got him at like 3-1, 3-2. And I love that there. Like, I'm ecstatic about that there.
Yeah.
I don't think the only player on
the landing spot, though, either. Like, I mean, he's the second pick in the 4th round, so, I mean, you can, argue, he's basically at the round.
Well, they traded up to get him, too.
Around. Yeah, but, I mean, he plays with a college quarterback, and it's a room that just lost Jerry Jeudy, and there's definitely a role for him right off the bat.
So. Jerry Judy's role, getting open and not doing anything.
Well, I'm hoping Bo Nix is better than Brett Rippon or 40-year-old Joe Flacco or Teddy Bridgewater. Who else has started games for the Broncos?
Jerry Jeudy hasn't been good with anyone. That's the problem.
Well, the Browns.
So, and honestly, and this freaked me out too, because right. So if you guys, Kyle and I roll with the Undroppables guys. I do Dynasty Nerd stuff sometimes too. The UN score loves Troy Franklin, right? My model loves Troy Franklin. The only other person that I saw on the UN score historically that they liked as much as Franklin and that failed, Jerry Jeudy. But I'll say the only other 4th round wide receiver they liked as much as Franklin was Amon-Ra St. Brown. So and then really
the only other non-day 2 wide receivers in that range are Amon-Ra, Puka, and Tank Dell.
Yeah, right. No, Puka Tank's round 2. Tank's round 2, buddy.
Oh, true.
Yeah, but Puka, yeah. So, all right. I think I'm taking Adonai Mitchell here. I like Mitchell. You made my life easier by taking Franklin. I don't have to think about that. I like
you were
Mitchell,
talking
man.
about Adonai and Keon, and I was like, he's going to get both of them.
Yeah. But I think Adonai works out. I don't know if he's an NFL wide receiver, whatever. I just don't. Probably not. But could be. He's got the tools for sure. Route running, athleticism. We'll find out if he wants it. I think it's an effort thing with him, and whether attitude or effort or whatever at Texas. So we'll see how he does here. Curious to see what you do here. I feel like I know what you're going to do.
What's your guess?
You're going to take a running back.
I'm not going to take a running back. I got one more wide receiver in the clip, and it's another guy that I liked pre-draft who actually ended up, getting the draft capital that I was hoping he would get, and that's Jermaine Burton. Lands in Cincinnati, so, might have not the best season this year with T. Higgins still in town, but, it seems pretty set in stone that Higgins is out after the franchise tag is over, so I think the upside's there long-term, and I'm a big believer in the profile, so.
I think I might have to wrap my head around taking Burton in the middle of the second, because I really do think he's the safest of those wide receiver profiles. The only knock on him is complete counting stats and just the attitude stuff that you hear, right? Like that's why he fell. Because he's apparently an asshole or not a good locker room guy or something. That's the only thing that we've heard from coaches is he was just off boards, but less
He
flaws in
shoved
his
somebody.
profile.
He
Did he
shoved
choke
somebody
him?
when Tennessee stormed the field after we beat Alabama.
Oh, like a fan, right?
Yeah.
I've heard there's more than that though, but they won't. No one really will say exactly what happened. But look, I think I could live with taking Burton at 204, 203. Really, I do. I think that if there's some spring hype from him, training camp is going well and things like that, then I don't know. He could fly upwards.
Yeah, for sure.
I think most people are slaves to draft capital in these things.
Yeah.
I mean, seeing that, I have the anchoring effect, right, with ADP and draft capital as much as anyone else, but it's also value, right? You know that, like, I'm sure I could probably trade 90% of people drafting at, drafting Jermaine Burton in the late second. I could probably trade most of them Coleman and get a plus, right? But if you can do it, you should do it. I am going to take a running back here, I think. I don't know. I'm not in love. Probably should, right? Leggett, I'll take some point. There's a point that he's worth it. Corum's kind of almost off my board. Polk's going to get targets. Roman Wilson's going to get targets. I just really.
Yeah, I think those are the two you have to think about.
Yeah. I also like Lloyd though. And frankly, I have a hard time taking a day 3 running back ahead of these guys, but I'm considering Jalen Wright here. He's got the upside is enormous, man.
I didn't think you were going to say Lloyd. I thought for sure you were going to say Wright. So
I liked Wright more than Lloyd. I did, but Lloyd got draft capital and Wright didn't.
But the landing spot, if anything were to happen,
yeah,
with Wright, I mean, it's just perfect.
Yeah. So like my gut, like here, honestly, Wright's like my next favorite player. So maybe I should just fuck it and do it, because I really the rest of these guys are very flawed to me. I have a very strong feeling Wright is going to be. You're not going to get 16 good games out of him, but you might get 8 awesome games.
Yeah, sure. I think we're getting into a range. There's still one more player I want to take, but I do want to get your opinion on the 2 tight ends in this range. How do you have Sinnott and Sanders ranked? Do you have Sinnott above Sanders because of draft capital, or?
Yeah, you have to. I think, and athleticism. He did well at the combine too. So yeah, I think you have to take Sinnott over Sanders unless you're really take locked.
I'm really take locked, but I think the player I would take here though is gosh, actually it's kind of closer than I. For me, it's between Malachi Corley and Roman Wilson. I think both went to good landing spots. Both obviously got draft capital. I'm going to take Roman Wilson first, I think.
Yeah, you have to. I don't know. I don't know why you would take Corley over Wilson.
I mean, the Jets traded up. They love him. He's already getting good reviews. Dude. He's going to live in Aaron Rodgers' house. I don't know.
Joe Douglas is just silly, though. Yeah, and again, like this is the sort of like where like Leggett starts to make sense. I think where Polk starts to make sense. I think I told myself I just wasn't going to draft either of those guys, though. I like Lloyd. I'm going to draft Lloyd now. Look, I think Lloyd's got a future ahead of him at Green Bay. They're saying Aaron Jones, shades of Aaron Jones.
At this point, I'll take Jalen Polk. I don't know. I loved Polk during the season. Watching him, just the stats weren't always all that great, and it was a big concern for me. But in the landing spot, talked about how much I like Drake May. I mean, I think these are two players who can grow alongside each other and have good careers. So.
I'll do it. 301, I'm taking the get. That's it. I'm taking if he goes there. Look, the one good season's amazing. I think he's DK Metcalf in a lot of ways, right? DK Metcalf didn't have a good data profile either. And, reading what Matt Harmon had to say about him and his route running ability and just looking at the chart. If you guys haven't seen RP, he does a chart of their success versus zone, press, and man. And he was very effective against man, very effective against press, but just like doggy view against zone. So I think he can win in the NFL. I don't know if Carolina is the place to help him do it, but that athletic profile and draft capital, it's worth taking a chance on here.
Did you see the tweet? There was a tweet. It was like, who was it before Mingo? I don't know, but it was like Mingo. Oh, it was Chenault, 6'2", 220. Mingo, 6'2", 220. Well, get 6'2", 220.
Marshall, Terrace Marshall Jr.
Oh, yeah, Marshall, that too. Just keep drafting the same guy until one works. I don't know, but I'll take Corley at the 302. I mean, this is another guy who's still a day 2 pick, lands in a position where he can get on the field alongside Garrett Wilson. And I mean, like, their slot targets last year in New York for the Jets was the second string tight end and a non-drafted rookie. So I think Corley is an immediate starter for the Jets next year.
Take it Baker. I should probably take Sinnott here, but you know what? This is going to make me happy because I've missed on Javon Baker in every draft so far, and I like him more than Polk from the two New England wide receivers. New England doesn't care about your draft capital either, man. If you're better, they'll play you. I think he's a kid that's going to work out. He's another guy that I'm thinking irrationally I might have to reach to make sure I grab some shares because if he works out and I haven't rostered any of him, I am going to be upset.
Yeah. I mean, I was hoping to take Baker too, so you sniped me. I was hoping to not take Sinnott as well because I was hoping you would take Sinnott and then I could take Sanders because I think I still like Sanders, but I'll take
Sanders. Fuck it.
No, I'll take Sinnott.
Don't be a slave. Don't be a sheep, Kyle. Take the guy you like.
I'll take
slave. You taking Sinnott?
Yeah.
Sinnott, athletic opportunity in Washington. I get it. What am I doing here? So this is like Jalen McMillan, Luke McCaffrey are in play here. This is kind of like late for Corum to be hanging around.
Oh, yeah.
As much as we're not in love with
Corum does need to go.
Kind of has to go.
Just kind of forgot about him.
Yeah, I think you got to take him here. He's here. Even if you don't love him, it just, trade him, profit, whatever.
Mm-hmm. I'll take JT Sanders. Just give me both the times.
Again, Sanders, excellent athletic profile. There's a lot to like about Sanders, I think. And we all think he's the successor to Ingram, right? Carolina's Ingram.
No, they haven't had anybody in years.
They have no one there, right?
Yeah, it was like Dan Arnold.
No, they had Tommy Tremble. And they had someone else last year, but yeah, doggy do, right? So Sanders has immediate opportunity. I guess I hadn't really thought that through that much. He's playing this year. He's the starter.
He was the first pick of day 3 as well. So
yeah. This is where I think I don't know. I like these day 3 running backs, but it's pretty stupid to take like day 3 running backs over day 2 wide receivers that you don't absolutely hate. I've always liked McMillan. I think he's good. Route running really wasn't good in reception perception, but I think if he had just completed the season, he would have put together a nice data profile for himself.
Sure. I like Ray Davis a lot here, but I will take Luke McCaffrey first.
Yeah,
Um,
you kind of got it
yeah,
right. And Ray Davis is my favorite of these remaining running backs. Just immediate opportunity. I'll let you have him though. I like Bucky Irving here too. I like Audric Estime. I'm gonna take Bucky, man. Bucky got
oh,
what I thought he was going to get for draft capital, man. I never thought he was going to do any better than that, really. I think if you did, you had unrealistic expectations. Um, but look, there's opportunity that all Tampa Bay has is Rashad White. Bucky Irving is a better interior runner than Rashad White.
no, he's
Uh,
not.
yes, he is. Okay.
Just give me Ray Davis. Move on. I love Ray Davis. I think he's underdrafted. I think he does some things well, and I think they might be things that James Cook doesn't do the
Yeah.
best. So,
And they're the same age. Yeah, I like Ray Davis a lot as well. Estime, Vidal. I've actually taken Vidal over Estime pretty consistently. Dylan Lave, Brendan Rice, Theo Johnson, Malik Washington. It does get quite thin here, doesn't it?
yeah,
Rattler. Um, Taking a running back. Just look, I like Shipley. He's not going to start, right, unless Barkley's just leg explodes. But I think he's a direct backup to Barkley. I think he could do nice things in the receiving game. He's an upgrade to Gainwell, in my opinion. So give me Shipley.
yeah. Um, Shoot, it's slim here. I mean, I think I would think I want to take Vidal.
Yeah, I
I'm
would.
also really considering. Maybe I'm not. I kind of want Erik All, but
I like Erik All a lot.
yeah. But I'll take
Honestly, I kind of
Vidal.
like. Yeah, I like Erik All a lot. I've been hitting him. You can get him in the fourth round usually.
Mm-hmm.
Usually don't have to take him here, but I respect the move if he's the next player. And I'm with you. I would either take All there or I would take Vidal. One way or another, and All is coming off the board.
Yeah, I mean, I think Erik All is kind of like that next guy after Vidal. So we don't obviously have to talk about the fourth round, but we can talk about some of the guys we like there. I mean, I like if Vidal or All were to fall there, I like either of them. I think you can get Shipley in the fourth occasionally. Um, you hate Devontae Walker, but I'm gonna pick up a few chairs in the fourth round just for fun. Uh, I don't know. Other than that,
Cowing, I
it's kind of
love. Like Cowing landed in one of the only places that could make me not interested in him. I just can't see how he's getting it on the field in the next 2 years.
I feel the same way about Malik Washington as well.
Yeah, right. Well, I can tell a story where Malik gets on the field. Not maybe this year, but next year.
What,
But
Tyreek
also Todd
retires?
Washington and Malik. Todd Washington and Malik Washington are the same player. Like
Yeah, true.
Dylan Lobby, I'm definitely hitting. He's kind of like my next guy. Theo Johnson's got some opportunity. Jaheim Bell in New England. I mean, New England doesn't have much behind Henry right now.
Mm-hmm. And you have to take Rattler at some point.
Definitely taking Rattler in the fourth if I can. He's got a real chance at starting at some point. Cade Stover didn't actually land badly. I mean, behind Schultz.
I've drafted a lot of Cade Stover.
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on him. Rasheen Ali is worth taking, in my opinion. Baltimore's thin the position. He's a banger. He's not the best running back, but he's athletic, and I can see him being a good fit for them. Anais Smith, I think. What?
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say Tyrone Tracy.
Yeah, I haven't gotten any Tracy shares yet, but yeah, I like him a lot. Definitely an interesting profile. And then, yeah, Anais Smith, I think it's a similar player, honestly, to Tracy, but there's not really a wide receiver 3 in Philadelphia. Is the opportunity there? I don't know, but I think Anais Smith could be he's as good as anyone else in that roster. Him or Johnny Wilson's not a slot guy, right? So unless they're going to move Smith into the slot to play Wilson outside, like I don't really see that. AJ Brown can play slot. But anyone else you're interested in late?
I don't know. I'll take a few. Like if I have like the 410, 412, I'll take a few shots on like a Blake Watson. Who went undrafted, which I really wasn't hoping for.
Yeah, I thought he was going to get like 6-7 type capital. Isaiah Williams, I like as a UDFA. I just like the player.
Oh, I was stunned. I was stunned that Dallin Holker didn't get drafted.
Me too. I was surprised. Yeah, because otherwise you could tell yourself a story that New Orleans is a good landing place for him. You know, I mean they have the one kid there, but no one that's
Jawan Johnson believer.
I like Jawan Johnson. I think he's good, not great. But he's the opposite of Holker. Holker's not nearly that athletic. You doing anything with like Jace McClellan, Frank Gore, Cody Schrader, Isaiah Davis, Jordan Travis?
I think of that range, I actually like Jawar Jordan the most, landing in Houston.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of a guy who can have like a third down ish type role, and actually get on the field. So, I mean, and like all they have is Mixon, right? Not much behind.
Yeah, pretty much, man. Mixon, they got Pierce still. They didn't cut him.
Oh, true.
Yeah. So Garendo, I think you got to talk about. He's just another San Francisco clone. Yeah, San Francisco clone. Jamari Thrash, I still think's underrated. They still haven't figured out really a wide receiver rotation there at all. I mean, there's so many bodies there now, but he's kind of unique in that room, I think. Undersized for sure, play strength, but speed and route running he does as good as anyone except, Eli and Cooper, I think, in that room.
Yeah. Kind of just glossed over Braylon and Estime, but I think we both like, Breece Hall and Javonte Williams much more, and just think it's going to be hard for those guys to get on the field barring an injury.
Well, I mean, I took Shipley over Estime because I think if Shipley gets on the field, he's going to catch passes and he's going to be useful in PPR. Whereas Estime, I think, can catch passes. He's competent at it. He had decent yards for route run, but I don't think a coach is going to look at him and be like, yeah, sending this guy on Texas routes, right? Like, probably not the plan A. Braylon's dead to me. Landing in, I can't conceive of a situation I'd draft him right now. Estime I can for sure. I would take him soon. So, looking at the board, would you like? So if we did this whole situation 3 times in a row, I would vary the guys within a tier, right? Do you draft like that as well, or do you like? This is my rankings. These are my guys. I'm sticking with it.
I go back and forth. I mean, it kind of just depends how I feel about the tier. I mean, I'm taking those first 3 wide receivers, those first 5 wide receivers in that order every time.
Yeah,
Harrison,
the only one that I would have
Dunze, Worthy, Lad.
Yeah, I like Brian Thomas more than you, but I'm the second tier though. Pearsall, Coleman, Franklin, and Mitchell Burton. If I'm halfway through my drafts and I haven't had a share of Mitchell yet, like I could take him over Coleman. I don't care about Coleman that much, right? Or if I'm talking myself into Burton being the guy there, I can see myself taking Burton over all those guys. I don't care. If I don't have any shares of Polk and I have the 2-9, I could take Polk there and be fine with it.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. There are guys who I'm just gonna avoid like the plague though. So I don't know. That's kind of like Leggett, Thomas at the price. I don't know. I'm still kind of avoiding McMillan. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean 3.7 for a day 2 wide receiver. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. You have to kind of have to there. I mean, I could argue like McCaffrey over McMillan. I kind of think McCaffrey has more upside just because he's new to the position. He has more athletic upside. But McCaffrey's routes were just a joke. He doesn't know how to run routes yet at all.
And obviously, we both feel that way about Corum. Like, neither of us wanted him with a 10-foot pole. So
yeah, you'll never see him at 3.5. And
yeah,
that's the thing too. Is you and I think there's only a few guys in this class we really don't have similar opinions on. So drafting with me and you is going to look really different than drafting with like most of our leagues.
Yeah, I mean, I think we both feel like Corum and Kyron are somewhat similar, and Kyron has proven much more. Yeah,
I think he's better. I don't think Corum's bad. I just think Kyron's better. But I also don't want to pay for Kyron unless I can get him for cheap. Like if you still ship me Kyron for like 205, like I'd have to take a hard look at that, because I do think Kyron's a lead back, but you're not getting an RB3 performance out of him again. Like they drafted Corum because they want a timeshare. They want healthy running backs. I think if Kyron was getting 22 touches, he should be getting 14, and that's probably what he's going to get.
Yeah, I don't know. Kyron was so cheap. I'm just willing to ride the shares I have, and
no, I'm saying I would buy him still. I would buy him for a second still. I had someone try to trade me. They tried to send me Kyron for 103, my 103 for their Kyron, and I wasn't feeling nice. So I ridiculed him a little bit, and then I had to apologize later. But it was surprising. I put it on Twitter after, and there were people that were like, that seems fair to me. Like, many people. And I was like, cool. Great. Where are you at?
Yeah, no, I don't know.
Try to do that.
I think Kyron's just a guy that I'm not trading for, and I'm not trading away. If I have him at this point, I'm just gonna ride the roller coaster, and if I don't, I'll live without him.
Yeah, you didn't pay much for him. Most expensive he ever was when he was like a 3rd or 4th round pick in supplemental drafts in Campus of Canton.
Well, or if you tried to buy him in the middle of the season.
Oh, I did people? I don't know. I saw trades for him then that were still pretty fair. I don't think I saw anyone in my leagues get robbed on him, but yeah. All right, so where are we going from here? Are we going to start doing college previews, Kyle? Is that what we're doing next?
It is called the Devy Dose. We could talk about next year's draft.
Should probably do that. I got a freshman coming up. I got a supplemental starting Monday.
Oh, look at you. I can't wait. PJ. Are they even in Fantrax yet?
I don't know, dude. It's like, what are we doing, dude? What are you doing? Like, if you play Campus of Canton, you're probably in 10 plus dynasty leagues, right? Like all of us are. What are you doing? You're doing rookie drafts. Why are you doing supplementals now, too? It's crazy.
And it's just going to be a crap ton of placeholders. You're going to have to remember, unless it's an Excel sheet. I don't know.
PJ's organized. He's a commissioner there at least, but it's not even his fault. I like blaming him because I like giving PJ a hard time. But the league voted it in. What are you guys doing? I don't know. I don't want to yet. There's so much information that I would like to have that we don't have yet,
That's true.
Yeah. All right, guys. Kyle, you got anything else on this? So we done with Dynasty content until next year now.
We'll start talking about next year's Dynasty content a year early.
Start talking about next year's Dynasty content. We are a Devy show. So, yeah, we'll be back to you guys soon. We'll probably do some 2025 class work before we move on to our conference previews. Last year, we did literally exhaustive team previews. I think we might have to scale that back a little bit because we had exactly 2 people sitting through the shows by the end of them. But it was fun.
But it was the best content we've ever made, Erik.
It was pretty good, man. I don't know. We both did really good in DFF this year. So, all right, guys. I appreciate y'all showing up. I'm your host, Eric. If you like this or don't like this, but you still want the notifications for some reason, please subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the Undroppable. Subscribe to the Devy Dose. Follow me. Follow Kyle. We appreciate y'all. We need your support. Reviews are cool. You can leave a review. It's free. It'll make me feel happy. Don't you guys want me to be happy?
No.
All right, guys. Obviously not. All right, I appreciate you all. Signing off. This is Eric. Thanks, guys.